Welcome to the second video in this mini series on the deadly, effective, killer, dangerous Max Lange attack. What about that for an introduction? You've got to play the opening now. And this really follows in our Spicy series on aggressive and dangerous openings, gambit openings, openings where you try to smash your opponent quickly within the first hour of play. Now, this game was a beautiful game, and it ends in a beautiful checkmate. This is where my love for this opening came from this game. So, as well as trying to learn something from the opening, keep your eyes open for some sparkling tactics. And like the first video, we're looking at this from the white side, and we're going to have a look at a different defensive technique from black here. So what is the Max Lange attack? Well, we start with e4. Our opponent goes e5. We can only play this against e5, but luckily for us, a lot of black players play e5. And now we go knight to f3, the most common move. And after knight to c6, the most common move, we place our light square bishop on c4. This is also called the Italian game. I've no idea why, but I'm sure someone will tell you, or our friend Wikipedia will. And it's becoming more popular nowadays at top level because it avoids a lot of the Berlin theory, and it often goes into a sharper game than moving the bishop to b5. Now, to do the Max Lange, we mainly play the Max Lange against knight to f6. In a further series of videos, I will have a look at what you should do against black's other main option, bishop to b4. I'm going to recommend the Evans gambit there. Now, that's going to be crazy videos as well. But we're concentrating on knight to f6 for now. So if you saw the first video, try to guess the moves or predict the moves as we play along. What should white do here? d4, this aggressive move in the center to explode the center and to allow our bishop to fly into the game, often to g5. Now, a lot of people play this position slower with white and they play d3, but this will lead to a long maneuvering game, and that's not the kind of thing I'm interested in. Obviously, sometimes we have to play long maneuvering games, but I'm not going to do a video on them because I've got to stay awake. So our video is concentrating on d4. Black really has no option except to take this pawn on d4. If he took with a knight, well, here we could go knight takes e5 even, and there's a big problem on f7 and on d4. So after the move d4, black should capture with the pawn on d4. Knight takes e4 here looks very risky move, and there's a number of good options for white. Simply pawn takes pawn is okay. But you could also consider something adventurous like pawn to d5 here. So no one plays this at top level. Everyone goes pawn takes d4. And now, can you remember the next move? Development speed. When you gambit, you've got to play with speed. You've got to play quickly. There's no point messing about. So castling is the move we're concentrating on. Now, another junction has appeared here. Black has two main moves, knight takes pawn or bishop c5. Like in the first video, we're going to concentrate on bishop c5 first. What should white play here? Can you remember? It's to do with Eddie the e-pawn. Go, Eddie. Go, go, go. Go, Eddie. Go, go, go. Eddie be good. So you've got to push old Eddie up the board. Now, black has to counter-strike here. I mean, where else can he move the knight? There's no good squares to move this, and he certainly doesn't want to put this piece home again. So d5 is black's only option to avoid a very bad game. And now we've got to get Eddie moving. Pawn takes f6. Black has to capture our bishop. Pawn takes c4. Now we should use the open file. Rook to e1 check. In the last video, black played bishop to e6, but we're concentrating on king to f8 in this game. This tries to keep the king on the king side and defend the g7 pawn. So what should we do here? Well, there are a number of moves, but the move I'm going to recommend you play involves a gambit of another pawn. So we're going to play in true romantic style. And the move I'm recommending is bishop g5. Remember this move. This is often a key move in the Max Lange attack. Now, what's the idea of this rather strange move? I say rather strange because black can take on f6. Well, the idea is if black doesn't take on f6, we're going to go pawn takes g7 with check. And next move, we're going to take the black queen. And that would be yummy, yummy, queen munching happy times. So black really has to take on f6. And by playing our bishop here, we force this move. And now we can go bishop h6 check. Black has only one move. That is king to g8. And by sacrificing this pawn, we have trapped the black king in this rather uncomfortable corner of the board. And look at this rook on h8. I mean, this rook on h8 is just a stupid piece. That rook is really angry with the king. That is saying to the king, why have you not castled? What have you done to me, king? I'm never going to defend you again, king. Look at me in the corner there. I'm not happy with you. So this is one of the ideas. We trap the king into this position, and now we follow up with some sparkling tactical ideas. So like the first video, we now got to think, is there an immediate way to an attack? Well, there's not really. We kind of like to get our queen over towards the king, but we can't go queen g4 at any moment because it's taken. So we should try and look at ways to increase the pressure and to develop our remaining pieces. And now a brilliant move. Knight to c3. A beautiful move. Watch how the white knights create some mystical stuff on the board here. You develop the knight into a seemingly impossible situation, because what happens if black goes pawn takes knight? Well, I'm not going to answer that question. I'll let you guys discuss that between yourselves. White has a forced checkmate here. So black cannot play this move. Now, most games here continue with bishop to g4, and that's what we're mainly going to look at. I think in actual fact, black's best move here is bishop to f8, trying to get rid of the bishop on h6 and give the king a bit of movement here. Now, you have a couple of options in this position. I think simply bishop takes f8, king takes f8, and knight to e4 is the way you should continue with very good compensation. The queen wants to come to d2 and into h6 with a big attack still. This is the way I play it. There was one beautiful game here where white tried knight takes d4. Now, I don't really believe this move because black can play bishop takes h6 here and after a little sequence of events get a better position. But this knight takes d4 is a very tricky move. For example, if black plays the kind of obvious move here, knight takes d4, what is white's idea? Can you see white's idea? And often in this Max Lange attack, it's to do with the back rank. Well, here, white can play queen takes d4, a sparkling queen sacrifice. And if queen takes d4 here from black, what's the idea? Well, rook to e8. And at some point, black won't be able to stop rook takes f8 checkmate. So these are kind of the tricky tactics you should really enjoy playing if you're going to play such gambit lines. So let's go back again and just rerun this. I love doing this when we're doing videos just to get the ideas into your mind. And after this move d4, the Max Lange goes pawn takes d4, castles, bishop c5, and now use Eddie, e5. Black has to counterattack. We take on f6, and now we check. And if king f8, what's the move here? Can you remember it? Bishop g5, forcing pawn takes pawn. We trap the king in the corner, and now we play knight to c3, this rather flash move. And after bishop to g4, what should we do here? Well, now that the queen on d8 is defended by the rook, black has more control of the back rank here. But why did we move our knight to c3? Where is that piece headed? Knight to e4, of course. The knight comes in to attack the bishop and pressurize the pawn on f6. Now, black in this game played b6, and here white actually played a slight mistake. There's an amazing tactical idea here, and I will show it to you because it's a common idea. Let's just think what's weak in black's position. Well, if the queen was not defending f6, knight takes f6 would be game over. It'd be checkmate. In actual fact, I'm going to ask you to pause the video, see if you can find this tactic first. So pause the video now. I'll give you a second or two. The tactic that is amazing here is knight takes d4. A simply astonishing idea. This threatens queen takes bishop with checkmate. So black has to take our queen, and now knight takes c6. And our knight attacks the black queen, and the black queen has no good way to defend f6. So this is already very good for white. So obviously that would be the way I'd suggest you play. But let's just see how the game went, because it's a very similar motif in the game. White played c3, and this is aiming to force black to move the d-pawn, well, hopefully by capturing here, because then we can get rid of the defender of f6 by simply exchanging queens and playing knight takes pawn, checkmate. So in this game, black played knight to e5, and what do you think white should play here? A very similar tactic to what we just saw. White to play. What is white's best move? Pause the video if you need to. White should go knight takes e5. Another queen sacrifice. Bishop takes queen. And did you see the real point behind white's move? Well, you could go knight to c6 here, but in actual fact, you can force checkmate with a simply astonishing move. Knight to d7. What a beautiful move. And the point of this, again, is to home in with knight takes f6. This is the main idea. Black can't go queen takes knight because he moves away from defense of this pawn. Knight takes f6 would be checkmate. The queen can no longer eliminate that attacking piece. There's only one way black can try to defend e7, and that is with bishop to e7. Now, again, the last moment, I'm going to ask you to pause the video. White can force checkmate here. And this combines two motifs, the back rank and the f6 pawn. So pause the video and try to find the checkmate here. Knight on e takes f6 check, because now we open up the rook. Black can't move the king. He has to take the knight. And now, like before, we want to distract this queen away from defense of the bishop. Can you see the end now? This is the end. The only end again. Rook to e8, check. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Queen takes e8. Knight takes f6, checkmate. A simply astonishing idea. Well, I hope that's inspired you to give the Max Lange attack a go. And it occurs normally after knight to f6, the d4, takes, castles, and then we use the e-pawn. If bishop c5, e5. There's only one more video in this Max Lange attack, which I'm going to do, and I suggest you go out, enjoy the opening, give it a whirl on chess.com. Hopefully you'll win lots of games. And leave your comments below. I'll be back again for more videos. Thank you so much for watching this video. Goodbye for now.